Hi everyone, and welcome to Adobe Live from wherever you are around the world, and welcome to this session called Video Tips and Tricks. Now, before we start, we'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we live, create, and learn on today, paying respects to elders past, present, and emerging. My name is Chris Hansen, and I'll be your host for today, and joining me is my colleague, Senior Strategic Development Manager at Adobe, Jon Barrie. Welcome, buddy.
G'day, mate. How you going?
I'm good. You're in Melbourne, is that right?
That's right. I'm in the Melbourne office, actually.
Are you? Fantastic. Now that we're going back to the office, it's great. I'm in Sydney. I'm at home today, but back and forth in the office now. It's great that we can do that.
Yeah. You don't mind if I sip on some decaf coffee throughout?
Absolutely not, mate. You do you. That's great, mate. Cool. What are we going to be touching on today? Really looking forward to this session.
Well, it's all about speed. And if any of you had watched or are familiar with the Formula One Grand Prix, it just happened over the weekend here in Melbourne. This is where I got the hat from. This is the McLaren hat. It's team Daniel Ricciardo, the Australian driver. Now, I don't need to wear this the entire time, although if you let me know if that shine is just too much and I'll put the hat back on.
I'll let you know.
Speed. It's all about speed. So I've been editing using Premiere Pro for over 20 years. I was using it back before it was Pro, when it was version 5, well before it became a Premiere Pro. And I picked up quite a lot of tips over the years. I thought I'd actually show everyone here just a handful of the kinds of things that just get you through using and maneuvering around the user interface just to keep you moving quickly, so your ideas are not hampered by using mouse clicks and things like that. And there's some other things that we'll go through as well, just some of the workflow things, latest sort of things that you can do inside of Premiere Pro as well. But a lot of this is just speed. So I want to hear from the audience, people who are listening in and watching in on the live stream. You got any speed-related things that you want me to maybe, explore while we're here? Happy to take a look at that. But you're going to have to get in early. You're going to have to be fast. So then we've got time to go and explore your thing. We might be even covering it in the long run. But give us type it in and we'll see how we go.
I love that, mate. The theme of today seems to be speed, the need for speed. So, mate, I do have a laundry list of things here that you've sent me that you're going to cover today. Where do you want to start with it?
Well, I think let's start at the start, right? So you start creating, you need to bring in assets, right? Clips, all that sort of stuff. So the best place to start, so if we were to begin a brand new project, right, you do all this stuff and you go, hey, I want to do a thing and I'm going to, what's it called? Where's it go? All that sort of stuff. But you end up with a blank space. So let's just close this off. We've already got something going. Let's just close that down. Close project. And yeah, sure, let's save those little bits and pieces I was fiddling with. Right, so you start here. Notice that if you have already begun working, you're going to have this list of the last 5, at least the last 5. I think it goes down. Yeah, so you scroll down, you can get to, I think maybe 10. I forget the number, but you've got the ability to just jump straight back into where you were. Now, when you start brand new, you say, what am I going to call it? I'm going to call it My Edit. And let's see if we'll try this zoom in stuff here. And all this stuff, don't worry about all this stuff. Don't stress about that, right? Don't worry about all those bits and pieces. Just need the name. Where is it going to go? It remembers the last few places that you've been before, but you hit browse and you can go and put that in there. So I'm just going to leave it in the last place I had. And it starts up, everything's blank. So first tip, which is super useful, is wherever your mouse is hovering, on your keyboard, you'll have under the escape key on a US layout keyboard, you have a key that's known as the grave or the accent key. It's got a little squiggle on it. If you tap that while you've got your mouse over a panel, it makes that full screen.
Oh yeah.
But this is super helpful. Been there forever. And why this is useful is that when you want to go in and bring in footage, you go to the media browser and you tap on that. And now look at all this real estate I have to go through and sample the content, right? So I can hover scrub over it and I can see what's going on. If I click on it, let's see, if I click on it, notice I get now a little playhead.
Right, if you make sure.
And I can hear it too. This is kind of cool. Now, it might be a bit loud. We'll see. We tested this before with the music, and the music was really, really loud. So just brace yourselves. What's great about using the media browser to bring in your content is that you can see it, you can hear it, you can sample it, and you know what you're getting into before you bring it in. So you're kind of making your selects in an interface that gives everything context. So for example, this music, if I just drag in a bunch of music, I don't know what it is until I bring it in, but I don't need to do that. So let's see, I'm going to click on here. It's going to be a bit loud, but I can hit the space bar, which is play, which is also then pause. I can hit that and then I'll be able to sample it before I bring it in. Okay, I won't go for too long, but basically I get to, sample what's going on before I bring it in. Now, if I hold down modify keys, so in this case, I'm going to hold the control key down. And if you're I'm on a Windows machine. If you're on a Mac, you'd hold down the command key or the Apple key. It used to be called the Apple key. And I can select multiple random pieces like so. And then if I let go of that key, if I right click on here, I can then go to import and that will bring those in that order that I've selected as well.
So first of all, quick question.
Yeah.
You were just in the media browser inside of Premiere, so accessing the content that wasn't already in Premiere yet.
Correct.
Yeah. So now you've just selected what you wanted. So, and then now we're inside of your project inside of Premiere.
That's right.
Yeah, that's really
but
good.
Now, yeah.
We've got a question. We've got a question.
Oh, I've got a question. Go for it. Fire away.
So how is that different from using Bridge, Adobe Bridge?
That's a good question. Well, for starters, I don't need to have a second application open.
Yes.
Sure, you can use Bridge. Let's see. We're just going random here. Let's go and open Burged. I can't even spell Bridge. Bridge. Here we go. So for those of you playing at home, yes, if you went into Bridge, part of the problem with using Bridge is that you need to open a second application. Then you've got to navigate to somewhere as well. So where am I going? I'm not sure where am I going? Okay, I'm new to video. Let's see, I want to go into the folders. Now I need to clickety click, click, click. We don't want to be clicking. Now this brings me to another tip, and I'll loop it back into this as well because there's another hot tip in here too. So let's go back to Premiere Pro. Right, back in Premiere Pro. Now when you're in, excuse me, I double clicked in an empty space while I was in the project panel. If you double click in an empty space, that will go to import.
Just as you're doing that, we got one more question. By using Media Browser, is that similar to how Rush does it?
Yes, very similar in that you get to see everything in context, and then you get to decide what you want to bring in. It does it in a different way, slightly different way, but there's some pretty cool stuff that Rush does that, I think Premiere might do well to incorporate. But let's see what the future holds on that front.
The future.
Because if you've been using the beta, you'll have seen that there is much more of a user interface that's very similar to Rush for Premiere Pro. So we'll see how long that takes to come into an update.
I see you're doing your fingers. Are you trying to tempt us with something? Okay, all right.
It means nothing. Okay, so let's just loop back.
Yep.
All right, so back in the media browser, what I've done in here is I know I'm going to be coming in and out of this folder quite a bit, or at least the top of a folder tree, right? So what you want to do is actually have a favorite. So if I go over here, and let's see if I can do my little crash zoom thingamajiggo. Notice here on the side, I've actually got a folder called favorites. Now that means I don't need to navigate and go and do sort of weirdo stuff, right? I can just jump straight in here. If I went into this drive, I have to navigate through here, blah, blah, blah. But if I have a folder that I know I'm going to be going in and out of, back and forth, I can right click on the folder and I can add it to the favorites. So watch that left side where the favorites twirl down is. I add that in, pop. Now that's added in there too. So now I just jump into there, I go straight in. Now this is a nice little shortcut. When you're doing a lot of this sort of videos, a lot of repetitive stuff. It's complex, but you keep going in and out of the same. So this is all the maneuvering little tips, right?
So that's really good because I've used Premiere a few times now, and I typically use my Finder. I'm on a Mac for all the Mac users, but I typically use my Finder to favorite things inside of there and then jump from Finder into Premiere. But that media browser little trick, I really like that. I might try that next time.
Cool. So now to bring this back to using Bridge, right? So let's just pop over to Bridge again. Bridge. So here's a tip for all you pundits. Now I'm on Windows, so I have to hold the Shift key when I do this, but notice here it's in some captions export test thing. Right now this is the folder that I'm using to do my demos for today, blah, blah, blah. But I actually want to use Bridge for a different reason. Might be to start putting in, I don't know, some metadata or, starring things to go, that's my favorites. And I want to start using the collections here to build up the list, right? You might be using this, you might be a designer, you're used to using Bridge, but now you're starting to get your head into video. So this makes sense to you to collate what you want this way. So how do you quickly get to the right folder in order to be in Bridge in the right place? Like I said, I'm in Adobe Live. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to open up this fella here, and let's have a look. This is a 2021 assets folder, required assets. Okay, so here is a thing that shows me, that's basically the view inside of Windows Explorer. And I've got no context, right? This is, VLC is what I'm using at the OS level to sample these things back, but I got no context. Now, if I want to jump into this particular place in Bridge, I click and hold down that link, hold the Shift key down, and notice here, if I hold the Shift key down, it's probably, let's see if I can do this. Ooh, it's kind of working. So notice here, I'm not holding Shift, but it says pin to the product that I'm hovering over the top of. If I hold down the Shift key, notice it changes to a plus symbol, open with. So let's zoom back out and let's see what happens there. I'm gonna hold the Shift key. Everyone try at home. Let go. And now it's opened the exact folder and the asset inside of Bridge. So now I can do ratings and I can do all the cool things that Bridge is really good at doing.
So it navigates directly to that file if you can't find it inside of Bridge.
Correct. Instead of navigating through Bridge to find it, because you might already have it open in Finder if you're on the Mac, or in Windows Explorer if you're on Windows, right? That's a super fast tip to just get to where you need to go, right? Did you know that one, Chris?
I didn't know that one. You know, Bridge is one of those things that I've used every now and then, but not for video, which is really interesting.
Cool. So yeah, that's another way to get in. And for those of you who want to use this, what you can do is you can right click on these selected clips and you can place it in Premiere Pro. So let's have a look. I'm going to put that circular pattern and, oh, I don't know, maybe the other clip. It might be a duplicate, but basically I held the control key down. So modify keys are your best friend. Because I specifically want those. I don't want everything. Right click. And because I have Premiere Pro open already, if I go to place, Premiere Pro, and boom, it's opened it up. But look what it did as well.
I put it in its own project.
Haha. Yes.
What if you wanted to go into the same project that you're working on? I bet you're about to show that, Jon Barrie.
Well, This is random. I didn't prepare for this.
Okay.
So let's see what happens here. I'm going to hold the shift key and then just grab that, top to the bottom. So now I'm going to click and drag, and notice I got this little group.
Yeah.
I'm going to Alt Tab, which is another really good keyboard shortcut to know. Alt Tab back to Premiere Pro. I've got the project panel open, and I'm going to let go. Boom. I brought them all in. So I do have 2 projects open. I can have multiple projects open inside of Premiere Pro. That could be useful.
We got a question.
Yeah, go for it. Hit me.
What would be the best way to organize or store all of your media? Like, for example, in external large files, for example.
Well, the best thing to do is to have locally connected storage. So you're going to need massive hard drives for video over time because, well, they're big files. You're really talking about terabytes. So when it comes to using a laptop, for example, you're going to need external storage because you're going to fill up your system drive pretty quickly. The other thing is you want to be able to, move things around and maybe archive something. So multiple external drives is probably the way to go. You want USB 3 or Thunderbolt. You want fast, very fast data rate connections. That's going to be the kind of storage that you're going to really want to have on hand. And you do need to manage your storage. So if you need to move things around and have like archived stuff and backups, please have backups.
Have backups.
If the drive dies, you're in trouble. Right?
File hygiene is extremely important. We talk about it all the time, but definitely for backups, you really need to do that.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoy our hygiene conversations, data hygiene conversations. They're great. They're
fantastic.
All right, cool. So we're bringing stuff in. We've gone through, made some favorites. For those of you who might be familiar with doing stuff through Bridge, and now you're like, well, I'm getting into video and Bridge makes sense to me, then there's ways to use Bridge as well. Okay, all good? Okay, what's next? Let's have a look. All right, well, we've got to set up a sequence. So if I hit that Grav key or the accent key, depending on the way you want to name it, but it's just underneath the escape key on US layout keyboard, tap that again, and we go back to the basic workspace. Now we've got no timeline, it's empty. It does say here, drop media here to create a sequence. That's one way to do it. The other way to do it is to make your selection, again, in the order that you want. So let's see, I want coffee. I want thanks for the coffee. Oh, hang on, that's not right. So we're doing, oh gee, I'm all over the shop here. Look at that. I got lots of different things in here. And you know what I'm looking at? I'm actually looking at a specific kind of view. Let me just zoom back in here. What's
this
going on
wouldn't
here?
be
What's this view?
freeform view, would it?
It is the freeform view. So you've got 3 different views. This doesn't give me a lot of context. When I want to look through and find things by name, because I'm pretty deep into the edit already, this view makes sense because I can have folders and twirl them open. So let's see what this looks like. If I select a bunch of these and then I right click on that and I say, well, you know what, let's make a new bin from the selection. I can also make a new sequence from the selected clips as well, but I'm gonna make a bin, pop back out. Okay, so I can twirl that and close it up and open it up. This is a handy way to view everything, but when I change the view over to icon view, oh, hang on, where's my stuff gone? That's not so great. And if I go to even the other one, it looks similar, but it's, again, I've lost my things. That's because we're looking at one folder at a time. And when you don't have any folders, you're at the top of the project.
Yeah.
That's considered a folder. It doesn't really have a name. The name is the project. So what you need to do then is, when you're in this view as well, it's very structured. Notice it's a grid and I can move things around, but that's about as good as it gets, right? I can't grab this and move it over here and say, well, I just want to put that to the side. What's great about using the freeform view is that you can build things up as you like. Now, because we've only got 2 assets, It's a little bit lightweight. So let's go to my other project where I haven't got bins yet. And we'll just see how this all moves around. So I say, well, that's he's chatting there. And notice I'm hovering and I'm getting feedback here as well.
So you can almost treat this as like, you know, a storyboard, or making your rough cuts before bringing it in. Yeah, absolutely.
And then I can say, you know what, I want the music at the bottom. So I'm kind of doing this thing where I'm kind of building my edit in a way visually. And I can keep zooming out in order to get more space. So I can zoom right in, and you know, there's different options in here. So it's a different way to manage the way that you're structuring your story before you even use a timeline. We haven't even started that bit yet. Now, just to close out the concept of the way this works, I'll go back over to the other project where we've got the bin. Now, if you want to be in that view, in a bin, you double click on the bin and then you're in the view. Okay, so I can zoom out, I can move things around, I can do all these things, and it all looks wonderful. And I've got these ones here too. So they're actually two takes of the same thing. So I'm going to move them over there. This is coffee making. Yeah. On the coffee making thing. This guy's having a chin wag over there. Cool. So I'm starting to build out like a bit of a storyboard. I'm like, you know what? That's another take of the same sort of thing. That kind of looks like another take as well. You kind of see how my logic anyway is working.
Can you, if this is a layout that you want to come back to, perhaps it gets rearranged, can you save that?
Yeah, you can. That's a very good question. So what you can do is, let's see, while we're in this view, you go into, we call this the contextual menu, sometimes the hamburger menu. Why? Because you look at the 3 lines, it's kind of like a hamburger. So when you want to do specific things to do with the panel that you're in, and the tab that we're looking at in this panel is the bin. Really need to get a better name. The bin. If I look here, I can close things. I can save that specific project because I might have multiple projects open, which means I've got multiple bins. So I can be doing things like that too. What you've just asked though is, can you save as a view preset? Yes. So what that means is, let's just punch back out of there. I'm going to call this
bin view.
JB's brain on a page. That'll do. And I'm going to assign, well, you can assign presets and then keyboard shortcuts for those presets. I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to use the old school way. But keyboard shortcuts are your friend. You want to be fast. Like I said, repeat. There's a lot of rinse and repeat when it comes to organizing and doing the video editing, making stuff. So let's just leave it like that. Hit OK. And then I'm going to mess it up. Or I'm going to align to the grid. Bang. It's a bit different to what I want. Let's reset the grid to, and this is kind of a good way to work out, okay, I've got comments like good, okay, whatever, things like that I might have in metadata. I'm actually going to do this based on the media start, which is the time code. So as it was being shot, the camera's got time code. And if you're working with someone who knows what they're doing with a camera that can record run recording time code, which means it just keeps going. So you usually have time of day is the way that it works. Then you can structure what you're doing based on media start. So bang, I've lost all my wonderful brain views. All right, how do I bring that back? Go back to the contextual menu, hamburger menu. It's just me, I'm getting hungry. I feel like a hamburger. Why? It's really weird.
I wonder why. I see.
So let's punch in on this. So I went to the contextual menu. That's where I saved it. Now it's restoring a particular view. So let's go and look at my brain. And what happened there? Did I not click on things right? I didn't click on things right. Restore the preset. Boom. What's happened? Oh, my dude. What happened, my dude?
I don't know. Is there? There you go. Save as new layout. I think you do it inside of here.
Maybe. You might be right. Oh, no, that's a new layout. Anyway.
Yeah, if you rearrange that, like bring 1 or 2 clips down, now go save as new layout.
All right, let's do the same.
And then give it a name. JB second. Yeah. And then
Okay, so let's
now
do
move
the
it
reset.
around. Yeah.
Yeah. Boom. Then we go to restore layout. Boom.
There you go.
There we go. See, I did it the wrong way. There's more than one way to do things.
There is, yes.
Thank you, Chris.
That's all right.
See, that's the other thing. You collaborate. No one knows everything, right? We're all learning. It's all good.
No, but I find this method really powerful because there's times where I've needed to save a layout. I think you can even make clips smaller and larger as well, and then you just want to focus in on particular areas that you can then create a sequence from.
Yep, 100%. All right, cool. So this is enough on this concept, right? So let's just go back into there. And let's go to this view. Let's change it back over here. Right, so here's a couple of things that I wanted to call out in that as you drag and drop and you make a new sequence, it's going to put it in based on the order that you selected. So notice here, I've got this recording here without any audio. I'm going to make that the thing at the start. So let's see, right click, revealing project. That's the shot just there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be the first thing I select. Now I'm going to clear this. Delete. Just delete all that stuff. All right, now that's the first thing. Holding the control key. That's the second counter service meeting working. Right. Okay. So I can drag and drop into here and see how it's giving me an indication of what it looks like, the structure. That's one way to add things in. Okay. And the order that I wanted. Here's another one. I'm going to drag over the top of the program monitor. Oh, what's this voodoo you say?
That's interesting. I mean, I have seen this before, but I've not used this.
This is fairly old, actually. It's been there for a while, but a lot of people don't use it. And people who are new to video, and even those that are not that new to it, there's some really good useful stuff about this. So I'm going to insert, or I'm going to overwrite. So normally insert and overwrite are the two settings that you would usually be doing if you drag and drop. I'm going to overwrite and just drop it in, and it's just going to go in the way that, where it was based on the position of the playhead at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to close this gap. So let's select the gap, hit delete, bang, gone. All right, what I want to do now is add the music. Now, if I was to click and drag and add the music like this, and then I drop it in, that's one way to do it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I can also do it this way, where I drop on overlay, whoop, and it does it for me, puts it in the next available layer. So let's go back a second. I'm going to undo all this. I got
a question for you. So when would you use either or? So why would I drop it into the program monitor as opposed to the timeline?
All right, so if I want to be very specific about the way that it's going to go in, and let's say I want to do it this way. Notice here it's like, I've got to make a new thing, and then it's kind of in here, but wait, I want it there. Like, why is it just not going where I want it to go? So I went and deleted all of the unnecessary empty tracks in order to show you, as you build, you're going to start adding more tracks, and you'll be like, wait, I need more tracks. What's going on? I'm simulating that right now. So when you use something like overlay, it's going to drop it in, and I'm going to, another keyboard shortcut you must know is the / key, which is under the backspace keyboard. So that gives you the zoom out view. If you tap it again, it zooms back into the same amount of zoom that you had last, based on the position of your playhead. So that's kind of a very handy one to remember. Right, so I'm just tapping the plus and minus keys. I call them plus and minus, but really, technically, I think it's equals and hyphen. If you look at your keyboard. Yeah.
I'm looking at mine.
So I'm jumping in there, and I'm just saying that's exactly the placehead of the position of the playhead where I wanted that to go. And so it's landing exactly where I need it to be, and it's ignoring this source patch. So if I turn the source patch off, right, and I try to drag this in, let's see, okay, it's going to let me drag it in manually. That's fine. Sometimes though, if I have, we're getting a bit technical now, but basically you've got titles, you've got, music and sound effects and things like that that you want to bring in, you can just use this other way of bringing it in. So for those of you who are new to Premiere Pro and you're like, wait, why is this not working? Let me just bring in a clip that has got audio at the same time. So it's got some audio there.
So speaking of audio, I've got a question that's come through. So how would you sync audio up? As an example, a video clip that has camera audio and then a separately recorded mic.
Yeah, that's a good question. Now, the right way to do it, and I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to go to somewhere where I've got something like that set up for fun. You'd actually use the Multicam, create Multicam sequence feature. That is the right way to do it. Let's see here. I think it will be do I have in here multi-camera, Century Media? Oh no, that's not going to be it. You throw me for a curly whirly. Yep.
Is there a way, if you go back to your sequence?
Yep.
Now, I suppose you'd need to have two pieces of audio that are the same, right? So the question being video clip with camera audio and then a separately recorded piece of audio that was recorded on a microphone. So if you've got two of the same audio, but video with audio, and you want to make the microphone audio dominant, is there a way to like synchronize that up?
There is. I'm actually going to open. So here's a project that I worked on a couple of weekends ago where I was
Here's one that I prepared earlier.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure the director will be okay with me demoing this. So I was performing.
Is that you? Is that you?
That's me. That's me. So this was recorded with Second Sound. We had a Zoom microphone set up that had a boom mic, and it was recording it to a completely separate thing. And then we also had onboard camera stuff, right? So microphone. So here's the audio. Where's the audio? You know what? I'm actually going to just bring in this and reveal in project what's actually going on here. So this is what we're talking about, right? There's a couple of ways to do it. If you bring it into the timeline, you know you've got the right clips. This is the camera and then the original audio.
Oh yeah, because they're connected.
Yeah. And it's done the sync for me. I'm going to show you the manual way, which is kind of slow and boring and annoying. But what I'm going to do is have them in the timeline and select both, then right click, do that zoom in again. And then there's an option here called synchronize. You can assign a keyboard shortcut for this if you feel like this is the way you want to do it. Now, there's no timecode sync, right? That's getting into really technical stuff. We're playing around. We made this short film in a weekend. So it's using the audio, which is the audio waveform, which is this squiggly stuff that you see on screen that represents the loudness of audio. So I'm just going to say, okay, on this to use that as the guide to get the sync point and pop. Now it's in sync.
Okay, so it can identify the waveforms in each piece of audio and then line them up. So all you got to do now is delete the audio from the video, right?
Well, that's one way to do it. Or
you can mute it.
Put it on mute and then it doesn't come through.
That's a good point.
And then I use this as my clip. So let's go back. Let's do, so the contextual menu is your friend, right? So I click on that and I go reveal the sequence in the project. And it's showing me the sequence. So let's go back to, this wonderful edit here. And I'm treating this, it's actually a multicam. I'm treating that as a clip. So now we can see and hear everything that's going on there. I'm just going to use a keyboard shortcut here.
So just as you're doing that, there's 20 minutes to go. So if any more questions for anyone watching, feel free to drop your questions in.
Yep. Right, so let me just mute solo that so we can hear the dialogues in sync.
Action.
Oh, action.
Yeah, I'll take it up with Kat.
Okay, so that's all in sync. That's based on separate audio.
That's an Oscar-winning performance, right?
I
there.
know, right? And then I just trim this as though it's a clip, right? But if I was to double click on this and open it here, see it's got this yellow bounding box around it?
Yeah.
So if I right click on there, it says multicam. It's actually a multicam with one track. And so that's kind of the way that this stuff works. Now you can look online around how to use multicam to do this sync. I've shown you the manual way, but basically you get the audio clip and the video clip, and you just go, hey, just grab everything. So see all the zoom stuff, right? And then you just grab it all, right click, create multi-camera source sequence. Whoop. And then again, you're using the audio to do the sync here, right? And then you just hit go and it does a bunch of it. Now this might get some of it wrong because I didn't prepare for this, but let's just see what it does. It's synchronizing and doing all these things. Oh, so, boom. And there's a couple things that it didn't quite get because I probably had selected stuff that didn't have audio. But see, now I've got these multicams here. And if I get out of that view, and now this is where it's going to be useful doing this kind of selection. So
see, with the multicam, you can select particular cameras to focus on. Is that right? Is that how multicam works? Yeah. And then, the edit in your timeline produces that.
No, not necessarily. So the way that this works, it goes, well, there's one clip that has its own audio that's associated to the clip, but I'm going to sync the audio only clip. And then I'm going to prioritize the audio that we're hearing through the multicam sequence. I'm just going to only let you hear the dedicated recorded audio, so the second sound. So this is why this bit's useful. My playhead is right here sitting on top of a clip. Now if I needed to throw this at the back, I'm like, okay, I've got to do this, I've got to snap it and do all this stuff. But what's really cool is in here I can say insert after, and I might just zoom in on that one because this is where it gets very helpful. Insert after the clip. If I did an overwrite, I'd actually squash the leftovers of the clip. See the playhead, right? It's going to squash that last bit of the clip because it puts these group of clips
over the top
on top of. That's right. But this goes, I'll respect the end of your clip that's in the sequence and just add them afterwards. So now I've got those clips in here, and see, I didn't lose that bit of audio that was there. So that's kind of useful. You can do it the other way around. So, okay, so that's all in sync. And what it did for me, if I just, if I hold the control key or command key on a Mac, and, oh, hang on, might be, there we go. Sorry, double click. Just double click on there. See how it's muted the audio that's in sync with the original recording? It's done that all for you, and the sync and everything. So really, really helpful, super fast. That's the way you want to do that stuff. Cool, okay. So the other things I wanted to go through was doing stuff like this. So if I wanted to see the audio here, I'll be like, right, I just want that to be bigger. Notice that's just getting bigger. Like, there's my mouse, right? I'm using a keyboard shortcut modifier to do that.
So did you have to set up this keyboard shortcut yourself, or has it always been in Premiere?
Always been there. It's by
always
default.
been there.
Yeah. So on the Windows machine, it is holding down the Alt key and then scrolling with my mouse, right? So up makes it taller, scrolling down while holding the modifier key makes it smaller. So it's going down in size, it's going up in size, up and down scroll. Now, if I hold the Shift key and do the same mouse wheel scroll, notice it makes everything in context to its scale at the time, it's now making everything bigger, everything smaller, based on whatever the height was. So if I just keep scrolling up while holding the shift key, eventually they're all going to get bigger, but then eventually they all get super small. And so now I'm making them all big or small. And I'm like, well, that's not the one. I don't want that one big. So Alt.
I got a question for you. Is there a way to save that? If you got it into a particular layer, can you save that and then have that on all of your future videos?
Yes, you can. Now this is where I always forget this bit. It's either in the settings wrench. Let's see, expand all, save that as a preset, right? So then it's going to save the track height as a particular preset. Again, you can give this, assign it a thing, and we'll just say dialogue. Whoa, that made my mouse do weird things. Dialogue, big. Okay, so that's my dialogue audio. I'm just going to shrink it all down. Then I'm going to go back into my wrench, and then I'm going to use dialogue big.
Ah, perfect. That's brilliant.
Cool. All right, now, what else we got here? You got a list. You have my list. What
I do have your list.
Show?
Setting up your sequence, modify keys, reductive editing versus additive.
Oh my God, reductive editing. Okay, let's go and change these things around.
Before you do that, I was going to say, you've got one of your, I think you got the project Dance Dads open. Maybe it might be good to show scene edit detection or... Or did you want to show that first or?
Sure. Let's do that. All right, so I'm going to close that project. Close. You know what? I'm going to close all other projects. I'm just going to go back to... by the way, notice I'm sort of scrubbing through these things here. So if you have your mouse over the top of these panels, I might just zoom in on this too, because this would be a good one. So notice here, it's like, oh, there's more panels in here. And you go to this chevron and you see the extended list, right? That's one way to do it. No, we want to be fast. Hover the mouse over the top of the panel naming and then scroll. Just scroll. Keep scrolling. And it goes through all of them.
That's really handy.
That's handy. All right, I'll go back to my edit in here, right? And then I'm going to use the option here. Oh, hang on. Let's go back at the top. Close all other projects. Boom.
Maybe zoom out. Right. Yes.
Yeah. So save them all, apply to all. So all the other ones that I had open, I'm going to say, no, I don't want to save them. Leave them as they were. Or if they weren't saved, bad luck, you're dead. So I've just cleaned that all up. And I've only got the one project that I wanted to keep working with. So let's start with an edit. Ooh. Let's see here. We're going to work with, now see, this is why you want to have your favorites set up. So I've got, let's see here.
So while you're doing that, okay.
All right, so this is the clip I want. So I gave it context, right? I got to see what it is. I'm like, ooh, which one do I want? Ooh, there's this, there's that. This one. So I'm going to import this into the project that I already have open. Then I'm going to drag it over here. Boom. All right, so this is scene edit detection. So notice here, I've got a finished clip.
All right, I need to cut this down. It's already
3 minutes long. I need to make this way shorter. I don't know what the original edit was. This might be like Zoom videos that you might have to, meetings and stuff like that, or presentations that you need to cut down. So what we can do is right click on these clips, and then from the menu options, we can go to scene edit detection. And there's a few options. You can just cut in the timeline where all the changes are detected. I'm going to create a bin as well. to show you some other magical things.
So just for context, this is an already edited video that you've just brought into Premiere, and now we're just going to pretty much try and identify those existing edit points, right?
That's right. Rather than go through and to be frame accurate, like scrub through, then be like, use the arrows to go back and forward one frame exactly, then cut, then play, go to the next bit. Oh, the shot changed, go back exactly on the frame, cut, and keep doing that over and over again. The machine can do this for me.
Hey, I just noticed as well, we've lost video feed for you, mate. Any chance you could try and fix that?
I'm still screen sharing.
Technical backend.
Although
I can see I'm watching the feed, which is slightly delayed, but it looks like it's still there to me.
Okay.
All
good. Keep going.
Cool. So the one thing that I've added into the list of things that I could be doing there is create a bin of subclips from each detected cut point. So it will cut it in the timeline, but it's also going to give me a group of subclips that I can work with as well, which will help me show you some other things to do with markets, which is kind of cool. All right. So let's analyze this. Dibbity-dibbity-doo. It's doing its machine learning. It's detecting and scrubbing through all the footage and goes, oh, that's a hard cut, and cutting it for me.
It just cuts it for you.
Yeah. I mean, I could sit there and probably do this manually and take 3 minutes, depends how many cuts there are. And this is where I'm going to know how many cuts there are because it's making a folder.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
That's outrageous.
Woo! Check that out. OMG. That's a lot of cuts. Okay, let's see how many cuts that actually is. I'm going to double click on this bin.
What I love about that is, like, you know, I can tell you now, yeah, that's incredible. I can tell you now, 123. So it's just done that all automatically for us. We don't have to go and do that manually. What I love about that is, like, you know, I work with a lot of customers who need to like recut videos that have already been edited, and they're doing it manually. They're trying to find the cut points. They go back a frame, they make the cut, they come back and make that. Like, it's just a waste of time. Look at this.
Yeah, okay. So if you make that, I don't know, let's say it takes you 5 seconds. Let's say it takes you 10. Let's say it takes you 10 seconds to do that. That's 1,230 seconds. How many minutes is that?
Oh, let's get the calculator out. I don't know.
You do the calculator. I'm going to show you some cool stuff. So reductive editing, right, is where you've got all your cuts, all your selects sitting in a sequence. Now I'm going to rename this. So I'm going to reveal the sequence in the project. Then I'm going to rename this. I'm going to call this is how I used to edit, right? I say raw. That's going to stay raw. Then I'm going to right click on that and right click and duplicate this one. Then I'm going to select that and call it edit 01 or 001. Then that would be what I'm going to actually reduce. Okay. And again, contextual menu, it's your friend. Close other timeline panels. Now I know I'm going to be reducing this. So I never lose points where I've got the clips. And I know now I've got 2 minutes something. And instead of working with clips and go, well, I want to load this one first, and then I want to like pick where it is and then stop and then add it into the timeline. That's additive editing. Subtractive editing.
By the way, that was 20 minutes of time saved. And speaking of time, we've got about 5 minutes left.
Cool. Okay. So reductive editing, just quick. Basically, you go through and you go, all right, I just want talking. Well, let's do it based on this. So, okay, I want that guy there. I'm going to now put my in and out points.
Yes.
I don't want this. I don't want that. So I've gone from car to the next car. Okay, so there, out. Now, I'm going to use this lift and extract. So this is reductive editing in the timeline. I'm reducing the overall duration by lifting out the things that I don't want rather than adding the things that I do want. I find this much faster to edit. especially get your basic compile. So
Love this.
lift will
Wow.
lift it out and leave a hole. I don't
Yeah.
want that. I want to close the hole, right? So I'm going to undo that. Extract.
Brings it all back.
Bang.
Brilliant.
It's reduced it.
Love it.
And I can keep doing that. So in and out, and then again, boom. Now there's keyboard shortcuts for this. And I'll just use a keyboard shortcut. Hang on.
It's just like a ripple delete though, isn't it?
It is. It is like ripple delete, but it's within a specific range. So
Yes.
that's a way to get in and tidy up your cuts and reduce the overall edit. So using all these awesome things in here, what I'm going to do now is create some random, right? Marker, 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 and marker, marker. And then I'm going to go into this view here, and we're going to cherry pick, mass appeal, scroll down. Hang on, let's do it this way, because, you know, this is the best way, right? We've got this, we've got hands, then we've got Statue of Liberty, then we've got talking head, then we've got somewhere up here, keyboard. Right. Go back down here, right click on any of them. And then I want to automate to timeline. Where has the automate to timeline gone? Is it in this bit here? Automate to sequence. Right, so it's in the contextual menu. Automate to sequence. What it does here, it says, how do you want to do it? Based on selection order, yes. How else do you want to do it? I want to do it at unnumbered markers. Oh my goodness. Boom. And it's placed them all inside and starting exactly on each marker.
That's brilliant.
That's pretty cool.
So JB, we've got 2 minutes to go. What could be the last thing you show us in 2 minutes?
All right. What else did we advertise we were going to be doing here?
Well, we've got a few things here. That's markers, motion graphics templates, audio track effects.
Right. All right, the motion graphics templates. We're gonna take good
You can get
look at that. So,
real deep with this, but I'm thinking maybe we save motion graphics for the Thursday session for those who would want to join us for Thursday, same time, 1 p.m.
Yep, we could do advanced stuff.
Yeah.
So what I want to do though is show you Adobe Stock and this option here to use free, right? For now, just to use free stuff, just to get your head around the way this stuff works. So in Adobe Stock, I can search inside of Premiere Pro in the Essential Graphics panel under Browse. I can do word search and stuff like that and kind of limit what I'm looking at. But basically, I'm able to look through now what we see here, this size, 16 pages of free motion graphics templates. And it's as simple as dragging it and dropping it into the timeline, and it synchronizes it from the cloud. And let's see here, if I right click on this clip, because I have a feeling it's too big, set to frame, there we go. It does some really cool things. So in here, this has been set up to allow me to do some control changes. But this media replacement thing is really cool. So the center media, what I can do is in here, grab any old clip and drop it into here, boom. And now that's what's sitting inside this panel.
That's brilliant.
Right? Motion graphics templates, when they're pre-designed, you get some cool looking stuff. And you can very quickly add some really, you know, sweet things. You don't even know
Very
how to
powerful,
make these.
very powerful. I'm going to have to cut you off, JB. I don't want to because I want to see so much more. But how about everyone tune in on Thursday? Thank you very much for your time. And I really hope to see you all on Thursday. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.